So this is the Boston 2005,
Yeah.
September 10th, 2005. Okay.
Crazy top. Chris Borovic topped. Number of people
Brent
topped.
Yetter, Chris Borovic,
Yeah.
Brian
And Cyber
Coronel.
Dragon would just come out, so it totally like fucked up the format. Xarion, like all this stuff. You could do stupid stuff like metamorphosis your BLS into Cyber Twin, like kill them. I
Yes.
definitely was doing the fuck out of that in my side events.
Yeah. A little
And
ahead.
but so I watched all these Comic Odyssey guys plays who were farming the side events, and I would watch them play, and they would just do stuff. They definitely were like still in 05 Yu-Gi-Oh mindset, but they were still very ahead of a lot of people. And I
Yeah.
would watch them do all this stuff. Like, I don't know, if they had Sangan and Graceful Charity, they would wait for the Sangan to trigger and then search their Sinister Serpent and then use the Graceful Charity. And like, bro, I'm what, 13 at this point?
Yes.
At this actual event, and like to a 13-year-old who's just been like playing at a local with like their friends, like it's like, oh, Graceful Charity, why would I not just like fire that off immediately, you know? So like watching someone do this and watching someone that I know to be like one of the best players do this, I'm just like, oh my god, I've been doing everything wrong, you know?
Yes.
Like, and so I watched a number of this guy's games and ended up playing him. His name's Juan. He was like one of the Comic Odyssey players at the time. But and even over the course of just that afternoon, I started playing completely differently because I would watch the stuff that he did and just emulate it. I mean, probably I was like applying it wrong, but you know, I was still like trying. Yes. Yeah, exactly. And so this all culminated in the way they were doing it back then, or at least at that specific tournament, they had a top 8 cut or something of the people who had the most points.
Okay, you mean for the side event playoff type thing?
Yeah, exactly. Okay. Maybe it was top 4, I don't know. And so it was like, because I just been farming the side events all day, I was in that top 8, and so were a couple of these guys. And basically, I win out, and I'm in the finals of this. So if I win, I get a Des Volskauf or whatever.
Yeah.
And it's me against, I think it was like one of the Comic Odyssey guys, like Sang Bui, I think might have been that guy who like went to Worlds in 05.
Yeah,
like
I know that name.
Very old player. This is just, it's only because I play this guy that I have some recollection.
Right.
But heartbreaking thing. I think we're like going to game 3 or something, or I don't remember that, but I realized I like we started the game or something, and I realized I had 16 cards in my side deck or something. Like I didn't side deck correctly. But the judge is like, everyone's sitting around us. The judge is sitting right next to me, and I'm just a little kid, and I'm like, damn, I don't want to get banned from Yu-Gi-Oh, my favorite game, you know? And so I tell the judge, and I'm like, hey, I think this happened. They're like, okay, well, that's a game loss. Like, that's just what it is, you know? And so I get a game loss, and I don't get my card. And I mean, who's to say I would have beaten him? But
did the game start already? I don't remember if you said that.
I honestly don't remember. I think it must have, you know, I don't know what exactly the situation was that I reported it, and that was.
I think even if you drew your first hand already, I'd have been like, all right, kid,
something like that.
It's fine. Just restart.
Yeah, right. I don't know.
I know the book rule for people listening. The rule for, you know, the books, right? Like the Konami guide, the UDE guide tells you that once you draw your opening hand, the duel has begun. And your deck needs to be correct 100%. There needs to be 15 in the side. Yeah. And back then, you couldn't have less than 15 either. So it needs to be 15 in the side exactly, or 0. And your main deck has to be whatever your original main deck is supposed to be. And if you've drawn a hand, no matter what, that is considered illegal if you've presented to your opponent, like whatever, you know, whatever.
Yeah.
You can also get a game loss if you just give your opponent your deck. And let's say your deck is 40 cards and you accidentally give them a 41 card deck. That is also a game loss. And that's not, the game hasn't started yet. But like once you present, they consider that to be like, you presented your deck and you presented an illegal deck. That's automatically game loss territory. That's just how it is. And I hate it too. I think that if you present and the opponent pile shuffles your deck and they're like, game 1, this was 41. Game 2, this is now 40. So something is wrong. And I feel like at that point, because the game hasn't officially started yet, It should just be like, okay, correct it and then just continue on.
Yeah,
But
it's
they're
it's so easy to just like accidentally miss a card. Like,
yes, and it's happened to the best of us. I'm talking about some of the best players in the world have had this exact procedural error happen
Yeah.
where they present a deck accidentally illegally, or the best one is you snatch steal somebody's card. You guys are both using PC white, so you don't realize when the game concludes that you have their BLS, and then at some point during the game, you guys realize, oh shit, when you
When you
snatch
draw the
my
second BLS,
yes, when you draw the second BLS or whatever happens, you're like, oh fuck, this is the BLS from game one. I snatched it, I never gave it back. I put it in my graveyard. You didn't notice, I didn't notice, and now we both have an illegal deck now though.
yeah,
Right?
yeah.
Like we're both
double game loss,
and then the person who won game one just wins the whole thing, which is just unfortunate. But anyways, so you get you have this error happen when you're actually in the finals of playing for a prize card.
yeah. So I lose. And I mean, obviously I was upset, and like my parents came and picked me up shortly after, and I was trying to explain it, right? It's hard to even explain. It's like
a good fucking luck.
like I was like, yeah, I was in the finals of this thing. If I won, this thing was probably like $2,000 or something, right? At the time.
Literally that
now insane, but like
20,
and
30 for sure.
Yeah, and so like I just explaining why I was like kind of bummed out, and they were like, okay, well, whatever, we're gonna go like hang out.
We're gonna go to Arby's.
Fucking deal with it. Like, I don't know.
You want ice cream, buddy? Here's some ice cream. Like, go fuck off.
I mean, my parents were super supportive of this the whole time, but like, I mean, you just have
they didn't understand
context.
like the gravity.
No context.
Yes, my dad is the same way. My dad would be like, "Did you win?" And I'd be like, "I made top cut." Which is the playoffs, because he loves sports, so he understood that. And I'm like, I lost in the playoffs, basically. He'd be like, okay, you'll get them next time. And that was the extent of our conversation. He wouldn't ask me any details.
That's not a bad thing to say. Yeah, exactly. It's always like, it's very bare bones.
It's funny because I still pseudo deal with that. Not me personally, but because my cousin Stango, plays Melee. Every family member ever, when they talk to me, they go, "Does Stango still play those video games? Like, does he still go to tournaments for those video games?" And like, it's been explained to all of them 100 times what it is he does, and it's still like those video games. Does he still? Does he have a job yet?
My aunties, they just say, "Do you still play those cards?" They're like, "You still play those cards?"
Those cards.
And I'll be like, "Yeah, I do actually play those cards again. I stopped for 6 years, and then I started playing in 2022 again." So I do.
A content arm around them.
Yes. Now I have a full-fledged fucking YouTube channel and a DB account that I had been dormant since like 14 or something. But yes, I do play those cards again, auntie. But yeah, so that's like a really early story. But what you just described is exactly what I used to write about in my series on ARG. I used to do articles, and one of the articles that I used to do a series called Origins. And I remember the first SJC Philadelphia. Okay, it was won by a guy named Kyle Duncan with Chaos Recruiters, like Decrees, Shining Angels, Mystic Tomatoes, and Creature Swap. I attended that event. That was my first ever Challenge Up Championship. And up until that point, I had assumed that I was actually decent at Yu-Gi-Oh. Again, big fish, small pond. So I was a teenager, but I was able to beat everyone in my circle. I was literally the best player in my circle, even as a kid. And the people I played with were much older than me. Like everyone was like 3+ years older than me. So if I was like 15 in 2005, then they were 18 and higher, right? So I'm able to beat all of them. But I go to the SJC, scrub out quick. And then I get time to do what you did. I got to watch Shane Scurry, Jerry Wang, all of these Comic Odyssey, all of these Overdose people. I got to watch them play.
Jerry's a killer. Jerry's a good person to watch.
Jerry does this thing that I'm scared to do this in real life, but it's so broken. He plays against people. He goes, set a back row to the far left, right?
Yeah.
Then he goes, set 2 back rows in the middle. Pass. So there's one back row that is just fucking far left for no reason at all, and then there's 2 other ones. It would like freak me out because I'm like, what? Like, so now I have MST, and do I go for the one that you blatantly put away from the other 2, or do I ignore that one and go for one of the 2? It would just ruin you. And I actually played against Jerry.
Shit like that is nice because you went like set 3 is set 3, right? So no matter what, it's a gamble. But doing what you just described now makes the opponent fucking do gymnastics in their head.
Mentally,
they're like, why the hell did he do that?
I'm already off the game. Like the whole, like, he's thrown me off of my entire game because he just did that weird shit. And he does little quirks like that when he plays. I'm not surprised this guy's a 3-time Shonen Jump champion because he was nuts. I actually played him when I won at YCS. He was my round 9 opponent day 2. So like day 2, I come in, I'm 6-2 at Atlanta, and I look at the board because you didn't know who you were going to play until the next morning. So they're like, everybody come in, see who you're going to play, and then wait until 9 o'clock when we actually start. So I'm there like 8 a.m. 8 a.m. I come in, I look at the board, and it says Frazier Smith versus fucking Jerry Wang. Now, at this time, I have 0 YCS tops, 0 Shonen Jump Championship tops. I only had topped a ton of regionals. So I am no one, okay, to this guy. Like, I am literally a random person that he's about to play against. And I talked to Sean McCabe, and Sean has to play some random, but he's playing the same. We're both playing Gravekeepers, whatever. And he's like, well, sucks to suck. And I'm like, really? Like, fucking really? My tournament's going to end, and then you're going to fucking play some random scrub and, like, you know, do whatever. And eventually we ended up playing, and he gets royal attributed for like all of his cards. He's playing plants, and he just loses both games. And he's like, he calls the judge and asks the judge, can he royal tribute with no cards in his hand? And the judge is like, why couldn't he? He's like, I just want to make sure. So he appeals or whatever. The judge comes over. He's like, yeah, he can play royal tribute with no cards in his hand. So Jerry drops all 5 of his cards. It's Debris Dragon, Lone Fire Blossom, Titanial, like Raikou, like all the things. He drops his whole hand. He stands up, shakes my hand, and says, do you mind if I see your deck? Give him my deck. He goes through it really quick, and he says, I'm playing this now. And he walks away. Yeah, and that was my Jerry Wang story. I always thought it brings me such good joy just remembering that moment. But that guy's broken. Sick. So watching him play in 2000, he's really good. Watching him play in 2005 and seeing how quirky he is. Hey guys, if you like this clip, we have full video versions of our podcast episodes available on the I Am Nerd Patreon, as well as exclusive content.
If you'd like to listen to our full podcast episodes or find us on any other social media platforms, you can do so by clicking the link tree below.